Fritz didn't know how many hours had passed as he lay frozen on the floor with KARL's body.
You have to get up. Get up!
Fritz pushed the body off him and rose to his feet slowly. He finally gets a look at KARL's face and has to put a hand over his mouth to keep from screaming and vomiting. The sight of his purple, contorted face makes it real. He quickly covers KARL's face with a nearby towel as he heaves and swallows back the bile that rises in his throat.
Keep moving.
He pops his head out the door. It's still dark and quiet in the parish house. But what the hell was he supposed to do with the body? He'd killed someone. Not just someone. KARL.
Stop that.
He presses his hands to his eyes and takes a deep breath, then looks around the room for something, anything to help him. There were only two options: try to get rid of the body or leave it here to be discovered. It was early morning now. Most of his brothers would be awake to begin their duties. Far too many eyes and traffic in the corridors. There was no way he could move the body without detection. And sooner than later, someone would be looking for KARL. Very soon, actually, given his responsibilities. That left only one option: leave the body to be discovered and feign shock and horror along with the rest of the Brotherhood. He quickly looks around the room, ensuring none of his personal items were left behind. With one last look at KARL's body, he walks out the door. Fritz checks each corridor before walking through, but even despite the solitude, he kept his head down, left foot, then right. He must keep moving. Finally, he arrives at his own room.
No. It's fine. You're fine.
Fritz closes the door behind him. He tries to walk towards his bed, but his knees buckle underneath him. Anxiety ripples through his arms and legs. He grabs hold of the wall for support and sinks to the floor, eyes closed. He struggles to control his breathing.
Just get yourself together.
Fritz!
A knock on the door. Fritz can barely get the words out.
I'm not well.
Letter just arrived for you. I'll leave it at your door.
Fritz's eyes flick open. He scrambles to his feet and cracks his door. The hallway is empty, save the letter placed in front of his door as George promised. He scoops up the letter and locks the door behind him again. His eyes widen as he reads. Violet hovers right above Mark's face. He was still completely unconscious from the festivities of the evening before, fully dressed and reeking of alcohol. He hadn't even stirred when Violet jimmied the lock to his apartment and let herself in. She nudged him.
Mark, hey, wake up.
His eyes shoot open, somewhat groggily, as he blinks several times before recognizing her.
Violet? Where am I?
In your apartment, silly. Don't you remember?
We came back to my place together last night.
Yes, we did.
Mark loops his arms around her neck and snuggles close to her, still fully intoxicated from the night before. She stays for just a moment, enjoying his closeness despite herself, then pulls back.
Mark, I need to know something.
Anything, right?
Where would the General go to be alone?
The General?
Yes.
Why do you need to know that?
Oh, you were talking about it last night, darling. You said that Wolfgang trusts you explicitly with his comings and goings, and that he trusts you to manage his office sometimes when he has to take care of business elsewhere.
That's right. He trusts me.
You mentioned that he sometimes has to make some harsh decisions and likes to do so privately. Where might that be?
Typically this little forest outpost when he needs to interrogate people. It's pretty easy for me to get the guard to go away. That's what he told me to prepare for this week, actually. I keep trying to suggest that he go somewhere more sophisticated, more befitting of his status, but he...
She interrupts his ramblings by kissing him deeply, trying not to gag at the taste of stale liquor on his lips.
Thank you, Mark.
Then she swiftly leans back and smacks him squarely in the side of the head with the butt of her pistol. He slumps back into his pillows, asleep once again. She rushes to the door, but looks back at his sleeping face wistfully. She quickly pours him a glass of water and sets a pain reliever pill next to it on his bedside before slipping out the door. Violet walks straight home from Mark's apartment, looking warily up and down the street and at the drawn curtains of the neighbouring houses as she passes. A letter is tucked under the doormat. Violet snatches it up and rushes inside, locking the door firmly behind her. Violet, you're back. What's that?
I don't know. It was tucked under the doormat. No one came by? Knocked on the door?
No, we didn't hear a thing while you were gone.
Well, someone was outside the front door to deliver this letter.
A chill strikes the hearts of every woman in the room. They rush to take seats around the kitchen table. The unmarked letter sits between them like a car crash they don't wish to go near, but can't look away from.
We need to open it.
Right. I'll read it aloud.
She opens the letter and reads aloud.
I managed to escape, but they're definitely after me, and it won't be long before they're after you as well. Tell your cousin to bring you to meet me at the warehouse on the 16th of October at sundown. He'll know where it is. Bring only the necessities. Be discreet. Be safe. Mama.
Oh my god. She's alive.
She's alive. Shit, she said the 16th. That's today. What are we going to do?
Go to her, of course. Shit, I wish Fritz would get here already. He needs to see this.
But what about Iris, Violet? We can't just leave her.
Yes, we can. This has always been about us finding Mama. That's it.
We're a team, Vi. We committed to this deal. We can't back out now.
Things have changed. And honestly, from what this says, now not only do we have Wolfgang after us, but also whoever had Mama too.
You don't think... Could they be connected?
What do you mean?
If the Nazis had your mother and she escaped, couldn't they have put out an alert? Last night, everything went wrong. What if Wolfgang was trying to get you to get your mother?
Why wouldn't he have taken one of us then? Why Iris?
I don't know. It's all too much. Cornelia, what do you think?
All I know is that Iris put everything on the line for us. She took us in when we had no one else to go to. All of us.
I agree. If you two have to go to your mother, I understand. But we have to get Iris out.
So it's settled then. We'll go...
No, Violet. They're right. We all have to go.
But Mama, she...
I have an idea.
A knock at the door. All four girls freeze. Elizabeth slinks over and looks out the peephole.
It's fine. It's Fritz.
Fritz sweeps in the house, looking around as if a threat could be anywhere.
I came as soon as I could. Lock the door. We have...
He halts when he realises his cousins have 2 additional visitors.
Oh. Hello.
Oh, it's all right. They're with us.
You remember HANNA, and this is Cornelia.
What is going on, girls?
I think we should sit.
They usher the group into the living room and fill Fritz in on the events of the past few weeks.
Well, I have to say I can't decide whether I'm more shocked, horrified, or proud of you.
Really? You're not cross?
Oh, I'm furious. You should have let me help you. You knew I was doing everything I could to find her. We could have worked together.
You kept pushing us away, Fritz. We thought you'd just shut everything down.
You're right. And I'm sorry I underestimated you. It won't happen again, all right? There's no time for any of that now. No time for Maria or your friend. We need to contact the Impressionists. Let them know what's happened so we can get support.
No, we can't.
Why not?
Iris said she was worried about them, that they wouldn't support what we've been doing.
Besides, they beat you up and threatened you. They sound like assholes.
So what then?
You go to Mama. Take her to one of the safe houses. The 4 of us will get Iris, then we'll meet you.
Absolutely not.
Fritz, we have to.
You will die. Your mother will never forgive me if I let you do this.
I love you, Fritz, but you don't get to decide this for us.
I can't. I can't lose anyone else, girls.
That's why we have to try to save them both. Please help us, Fritz.
Fritz lowers his head into his hands for a long moment.
All right. I'll do it.
True to his word, Hugo arrives to the Fisher home late that afternoon, loaded up with a backpack and crate.
What did you learn?
You first.
Iris did train you well. She's not in any of the official prisons or holding cells. I don't think they would take her far enough, though, if their goal was to infiltrate the Impressionists. My money is on one of the outposts. Remote enough for privacy, but close enough that they can quickly make their next move.
That's it?
Jesus. No, I brought supplies. But first I need to know what you learned. Violet?
Same as you, but a little more. She's being held at the forest outpost. It was easy enough for Wolfgang to order away the single guard there, so they made it into a temporary interrogation room. Wolfgang and all his men are there. They have Mark running errands and managing the general's correspondence to prevent the others from snooping.
What's the plan then? We don't have time to waste.
Correct. Very correct. I figured wherever she was being held will require some serious firepower to get her out. So, like I said, I brought supplies. And I have a plan.
Fritz checks his timepiece. 6:40. The sun was nearly gone behind the warehouse, but he remained alone. He'd already circled the building and tried the hidden entrance within the warehouse, but nothing. But no sign of Maria. Fritz makes to start another circle around when suddenly figures emerge from down the path. He stops in his tracks as Allister, Patch and Trigger casually walk towards him.
Do you have her? Sparrow, is she safe?
Where are the girls?
What do you mean?
Sparrow's daughters?
None of your concern. I'll talk to her about it. Where is she?
So, she isn't back yet.
What are you talking about? What's this?
Fritz takes a few steps backwards, but bumps right into Trigger, who pushes him roughly. Alison chuckles.
I figured the letter would fool a couple little girls, but I didn't account for it tricking a fag too. Although, you're practically the same, right?
What are you playing at?
Sparrow decided to leave the nest. We have strict orders to bring her back. You're going to help us.
As you are well aware, I have no idea where she is.
Oh, but you can help us with something else.
Fritz springs into action, attempts to sprint towards the path, but Patch and Trigger catch him easily and push him to the ground. They tie his hands behind his back.
Bring him inside.
The forest is dead silent as the four women creep through the lush underbrush. Violet and Elizabeth pause, overwhelmed by the memories the rundown outpost brings to mind.
That's it.
Why would they bring her here?
It's remote. They have total control.
Wolfie will want all the credit for bringing down the Impressionists. He's keeping her hidden until he has answers.
You're sure?
He doesn't like to share.
Hannah peers through a set of binoculars, straining to see through the windows of the shack.
Do you see anything?
Antony's outside standing guard. Inside I see Wolfgang and the shadows of a few others. Looks like they're gathered at a table.
Iris?
I don't see her. It's small, so if she were there, she'd be right next to the table.
That doesn't sound like something Wolf would do.
They wouldn't keep her far.
Elizabeth grips her sister's arm suddenly.
What's that?
What?
Shh. Listen.
Ever so faintly, they can hear a repetitive clanging noise like metal on metal from deeper in the trees.
This way.
She scurries in the direction of the clanging. It gets louder the closer they get, until suddenly they enter another clearing. And there, chained to a pole, bloody and bruised, is Iris. Even in her weakened state, she's raging, banging her cuffs on the iron pole.
Iris!
You fucking brilliant bitches. I knew you'd come. The girls rush towards her. Violet inspects her cuffs while Cornelia pours water into her mouth. Hannah immediately checks her wounds.
We're going to get you out. Where's the key?
Antony has it on him.
Oh, shit.
He comes by about once an hour when they aren't questioning me. What time is it? Hannah looks at her watch.
10 minutes to 8.
He comes alone?
If it's just a check, yes. Otherwise, he'll bring me back with him.
Then we'll divide and conquer. Hannah and I will be here, waiting for him. Cornelia and Violet will set the explosive at the shack to take care of the others.
I don't like the idea of us separating.
You have a better idea. We need to get the key and we need all of them to die. Antony dies in the house with the rest of them and we don't get the key. This is the way. Got it?
I don't like splitting up either, but I think she's right. Elizabeth and I will surprise on our side. Once Iris is out, we'll circle back to the shack for support.
All right?
Fine. Be careful.
Violet hands Elizabeth her gun.
You might need it.
Give it back to me when you see me.
Violet takes the backpack with the explosives from Hannah and turns on her heel back towards the shack. Cornelia scuttles along behind her. Elizabeth tucks Violet's gun into her waistband under her jacket.
Keep him talking as long as you can, Iris.
Copy that.
5 minutes to 8. We'll be right here.
Hannah and Elizabeth fall back into the thick bushes and trees, weapons out and ready. Hannah catches Elizabeth's eye in the dark.
Ready for this?
You ask that as if we have a choice.
The 5 minutes the girls have to wait feel like hours. Elizabeth shifts, her injured foot aching in the crouched position. But just when she's about to check the time again, Antony stalks into the ring.
Oh, good. You didn't forget about our date.
Antony tosses a piece of bread towards Iris, close enough that she can reach it with her feet, but would have to struggle for it. He grunts, then turns to leave.
All out of questions. Already.
The general is busy.
I'm not asking about the general. I'm asking you.
I have no questions for you.
Antony turns again and starts to walk back down the path.
Really? You remember everything that happened back then? I was convinced you were perpetually blacked out.
Antony freezes, but says nothing.
I didn't have alcohol to numb the pain then, and no amount I've had since is quite enough to make me forget. I remember everything.
Then you should know better than to keep speaking.
I wonder what Wolfgang would say if he knew who you really were.
He turns to face her slightly.
The general knows everything about me.
Everything. About your father. How he used to hurt you. How he used to touch you. How you cry when you realise you've become exactly what he was.
Antony rushes forward and grabs her by the throat, squeezing hard. Iris gasps for air.
You don't know anything.
You can't kill me, Wolfgang.
The general would be angered temporarily, and then move on. Don't think I won't.
Iris kicks him in the groin. He shifts back just far enough that she can whip her legs up and around his neck in a chokehold. Antony pulls at Iris's iron-clamped legs, struggling for breath.
Now!
Hannah and Elizabeth race forward from the trees. Hannah fires, hitting Antony in the back of the knee. His leg gives out, tightening the grip of Iris's legs around his throat. His hands rove his body, grasping for his knife.
Again! Shoot him! I don't want to shoot you!
Right as Antony raises his knife, Iris shifts her legs and kicks him backwards, opening the shot. Hannah doesn't hesitate. She fires again, hitting him square in the chest, then kneels on his chest and fishes through his pockets. There, the key. She tosses it to Elizabeth, who rushes to free Iris, whose leg has a fresh cut from Antony's blade.
Shit!
Hannah pulls her knife from its sheath and prepares to slit Antony's throat. But Iris takes it from her, with newly freed, shaking hands.
Move.
Hannah steps out of the way as Iris eyes the blood spurting from Antony's chest with a satisfied smile.
I've thought about this day for a long time.
She cuts both his Achilles heels. He screams.
I have a list, you know, of all the ways I'd like to torture you before you get the privilege of death.
She slices him again, this time on the wrists.
Sadly, we're on a bit of a time crunch, so we'll have to speed things up a bit.
She slashes him across the groin.
He Do it already!
What was that you used to make me say? When you raped me in front of my mother?
Please.
That's right. Please. Say it. Say it.
Please.
She surveys the shredded man before her, eyes hard, then plunges the dagger into his chest and twists. Back in the bushes near the outpost shack, Cornelia peers through the binoculars once again.
They haven't moved. I think they're playing cards.
Let me see.
Violet swipes the binoculars from Cornelia and looks through the window. She's right. The men remain gathered round the table, playing card games and drinking. Antony remains at his post by the door, smoking a cigarette.
Time?
3 minutes to 8.
Right. The moment he clears the trees to check on Iris, we have to move fast. Right around the side, straight to the back.
Assemble, light, run.
In and out.
Cornelia nods nervously and takes the binoculars once again, as if needing to keep an eye on them until the very last minute.
He's checking his watch. And he's walking.
Girls creep through the brush along the curve of the clearing, not daring to emerge until they've positioned directly behind the structure. Loud laughter comes from the poker game inside.
Go.
They move swiftly, crouching to stay below the view of the windows. Violet gingerly removes the supplies from her backpack. True to his word, Hugo prepared everything. The explosive is packed with pockets of metal and glass to ensure maximum damage. All they have to do is check that it's secure, extend, then light the fuse.
Here. Hugo said to start it here.
Cornelia tucks the explosive as close to the back of the fireplace as she can, while Violet gently extends the fuse.
Shh. Do you hear that?
Hear what?
They stopped laughing.
It's fine. Light it, now.
Violet pulls out the lighter and tries to ignite it. It sparks, but won't ignite. She tries again. Flame appears, but a second too late. She hears a crunch behind her and turns, catching just a glimpse of Christoph right before the butt of his gun hits her in the face. The lighter clatters from her hand into the snow. Explosive, lying dormant. Iris's entire body shakes like a dam about to burst.
Iris, we have to go.
Elizabeth places a tentative hand on Iris's shoulder. I'm fine.
Can you run?
We should have heard an explosion by now.
Shit. Hannah, help her. We have to go now.
I'm fine. Let's go. The girls sprint down the path, weapons out, straight into the waiting arms of KARL and Christoph and Stefan. Back in the warehouse, a bruised and swollen Fritz is woken from his sleep by the cold sting of his head being pushed into a tub of ice water. Patch and Trigger smirk at one another as they hold his head down as ALISTAIR watches on.
Ready for more, Father?
The men pull Fritz from the water only briefly before plunging him back in. All his muscles are on fire. Black spots splatter across his vision, but the blessed kiss of air hits his face again as he emerges from the water. He sucks in as much air as he can, like a fish flopping on a dock, and the men laugh as they push Fritz back into his chair.
Where is Sparrow?
I've told you 100 times. I have no idea.
Surely you could think of somewhere she might choose to hide?
Fritz says nothing.
No?
ALISTAIR nods to Patch and Trigger, who shift their focus to a nasty set of pliers. Just as they did with the target practice, their acts of violence coincide with the clanging of the machinery. Patch holds Fritz's arms while Trigger takes his sweet time pulling out Fritz's fingernail. A scream leaps through his gritted teeth.
Where is she?
Don't know.
What about her daughters then? Where did you hide them?
That I will never tell you.
ALISTAIR throws a punch into Fritz's already black eye. Fritz forces himself to breathe through the pain. He knew it was only a matter of time before they tired of him. Over the course of the hours of torture they'd subjected him to, one thing was clear. The Impressionists were somehow responsible for Maria's capture, but she had escaped, and they would do anything to put her back into captivity, including trying to use her children as bait. He would die here, Fritz realised, and he would do so gladly if it bought Maria enough time to get the girls to safety. That is, if they survived their mission to save their friend first, and evaded the Impressionists long enough afterwards to find their mother. A pipe dream. Fritz had never felt so hopeless. Trigger went in for the nail on Fritz's middle finger. Right as he screams again, the door to the hidden room of the warehouse opens, revealing CELINE in a fury.
ALISTAIR! What is the meaning of this?
ALISTAIR signals to the men to stop and meet CELINE halfway from the door, voice low.
We don't have time to play nice.
Who is this man? And where are the girls? I gave you strict orders.
It's the nephew. The one who refused to keep his nose out of our business. The girls never showed. He did.
What do you mean?
He showed up with the letter alone. I sent the boys in the house a few hours ago, but it was empty.
You said... Oh, Jesus. What about discretion do you not understand? We can't risk the operation by sending our people to break into houses to steal children, or priests for that matter.
She casts a wary eye towards the tied-up Fritz, still in his robes.
You realise you've wedged yourself so far up Sparrow's ass that you can't see what will happen to us if this situation isn't handled? ZED doesn't give second chances, CELINE, and he wants this done.
CELINE slaps him across the face. Hard.
I am still the second in command, and you have blatantly disregarded my orders.
You said you wanted to find the girls. He knows where they are, and he won't tell us.
Then I'll find them myself. You are not authorized to torture this man. Hold him here, keep an eye out for spare other girls, and await my next instruction. You'll be lucky if I decide not to tell Zed about this.
As you wish.
CELINE glares at him hard before turning on her heel and marching out of the warehouse. Christoph and Stefan dump Iris, Elisabeth and Hannah on the ground next to VIOLETTE and CORNELIA.
Christoph and Stefan, get the truck and retrieve Antony's body. We need to move. Klaus, with me.
As the two men leave, General Wolfgang finally appraises the girls caught in his net. He raises his eyebrows as if surprised to see all 5 of them together.
So it was you who brought our friends back to play? You only promised me the one, but it looks like you're an overachiever. Your papa would be proud, Cornelia.
All of the girls' heads swivel towards Cornelia in shock and confusion. Cornelia starts to cry.
What is he talking about?
So sorry, I didn't mean for...
Silence.
Wolfgang lifts his head and Klaus slaps her across the face.
Oh, you are dimmer than I expected. You really never thought that Cornelia was under my command.
The girls look on, frozen in disbelief. A cut on Cornelia's lip opens. Wolfgang wipes the drop of blood away with his pointer finger and tastes it, then grabs her roughly by the hair to tip her face up to him.
Poor Cornelia here had no one after her parents went insane and shot each other. A tragedy. So when she learns that her brother, her last living relative, was actually still alive and well in a camp, well, she was happy to make a trade.
What trade?
I'd begun to suspect that the little tramp from the club was the Red Devil everyone had been talking about. The Impressionists have been irritating me during my extended stay in the city. It needs to be destroyed, but I'm a very busy man, so I figured, why not make things convenient? Use my own female operative to bring the bitch right to my front door.
Liar! I'm so sorry, I swear
At Wolfgang's signal, slaps Cornelia again. She sobs harder.
Why do you think the pills had no effect on us? Well, a tolerance to cyanide would be ideal. Sadly, the science just isn't there yet.
Hannah pieces the events of the fated mission together quickly and stares hard at Cornelia.
You swapped the pills?
Very good, Jew.
You told him I'm a Jew?
She trails off as her look of shock and betrayal melts into pure hatred.
Yes, the pills you gave us were nothing but sugar. The hardest part of the whole thing was trying not to laugh at your ignorant arrogance the entire evening, eh?
No.
This whole time, after everything, you've been working against us?
No, I'm sorry. He has my brother. Max is alive, and he said that if I handed over Iris, then he would bring Max to me and no one else would be harmed. He said she was the only one he wanted.
And you really believed him? That he was only after Iris?
Wouldn't you? If it was your brother. The only person you have left in the world. But that night when I realized he would never follow through, I changed my mind.
Too late.
Fucking idiot! You can't trust anything they tell you. You are never going to save him.
Now that is the first intelligent statement I've heard from you ladies today.
What?
You really thought I'd just let useless vermin like your brother keep wasting space in our precious fatherland? You're never going to be reunited.
You said...
I said exactly what I needed to ensure your cooperation.
Where is Max?
His body has likely been burnt by now.
Cornelia's mouth drops open in a silent scream as she processes.
He was dead before the truck turned the corner of your street.
Cornelia's voice finally finds her. Like a banshee, she shrieks and throws herself towards Wolfgang, claws out. He shoots, hitting her in the arm, but not before she rips into his face, red tracks scratching into his cheeks. Those few seconds of distraction were all Elisabeth needed. She leaps to her feet and fires her revolver at the general. She hits him squarely in the kneecap, and he goes down with a scream. Shouts echo through the clearing as Christoph and Stefan run towards the shack. Elisabeth sprints out the door to meet them. Cornelia chases after her.
No! Elisabeth!
Before Violet can follow, Hannah whips around, knife spinning almost beautifully through the air, before Cornelia's hand is pinned to the doorframe, stopping her in her tracks. In seconds, Hannah is in her ear as Violet sprints after her sister.
Traitor!
Hannah, Please, I swear the moment I realised
You've said enough!
Hannah rips the knife from Cornelia's hand and pushes her back towards the centre of the shack, where Wolfgang is tied up.
But you can understand why.
No, I can't. I would never have betrayed you like you betrayed us. Tie her up.
Outside the shack, Elizabeth runs straight towards the two approaching men, a feral rage igniting her from within. She fires as she runs. She hits Stefan's hand. His gun flies to the floor as he clutches his hand to his chest. Christoph fires back at her. She dives behind the pile of firewood.
Just shoot.
She pops her head out for a quick second and fires rapidly. One in the chest. Christoph falls to the ground.
Stefan!
Stefan stalks towards her with a leisurely ire.
Come out, little devil.
Elizabeth breathes heavily behind her woodpile. She looks around her frantically. Without bullets, the gun was practically useless. Stefan would be on her any moment now. There. Just like the last time she was here, all those weeks ago, there's a hatchet buried in a log a few feet away. But she won't be able to get to it without exposing herself. The door of the shack bursts open as Violet rushes out.
Elizabeth!
Stefan turns towards the noise and fires.
Your luck has run out.
Violet screams and falls to the ground. Elizabeth stands and hurls the gun at Stefan's head. Direct hit, enough to distract him at least. She snatches the hatchet and races towards the Nazi, swinging straight for his middle. He shoots and misses. By the time he's realised, she's already on him. Her hatchet slices straight through his abdomen. The gun drops from his hands and he clutches at his midsection in shock, his intestines bursting through skin into air. He falls forward. Elizabeth sprints towards her fallen sister, who's managed to sit up. She grabs Violet's face.
Violet, you're back!
I'm fine. It hurts like a motherfucker, but it just grazed me.
You're covered in blood!
So are you. I'm fine. Go help Anna and Iris.
Elizabeth sprints towards Christoph, still alive and struggling towards his gun, a knife gripped in his left hand. He barely has time to react to Elizabeth's presence before her hatchet is in his neck. Inside the guardhouse, Iris grabs a sobbing Cornelia and cuffs her hands and feet. Hannah ties Cornelia and Wolfgang together with a length of rope. Iris looks right at her as she cries.
Please! Please!
It's a shame. You could have really been something.
I didn't mean to.
It doesn't matter what you meant. It matters what you did. You cross me, you die. That's it. Iris turns her gaze to Wolfgang. Blood drips from the tracks Cornelia had left along his cheeks, and the dark stain had spread from his kneecap down his leg. True to his training, however, the Nazi sat silently, as if he were made of stone. Iris kneels in front of the man. I meant what I said before. I take orders from no one. Every single one of your men I killed on my own, and it was easy. It's too bad I don't have the time to show you my preferred methods.
You'll never be able to stop the Reich, no matter how good you are at killing.
Good thing I don't particularly care about stopping the Reich then, isn't it? Would be a convenient bonus though, wouldn't it? Iris tries to light the match, but her hands shake so hard from the loss of blood that she can't do it. Before she can try again, Violet is there. She takes the matchbook from her.
Ready?
She swiftly lights the match and ignites the fuse. 30 seconds. We have to move. Now. Hannah grabs Iris around the waist and the pair begin to trek towards the trees. Violet trots behind them before realising that Elizabeth remains frozen, standing 10 feet away from the outpost.
Get away from there! Elizabeth! Come on!
The dead bodies of Christoph and Stefan around her, Elizabeth can't break her gaze away from Cornelia, tied to the very devil who promised to be her saviour. For all her betrayals, despite everything that happened, Elizabeth felt bad for her. A tear drips down her cheek as she raises Stefan's gun.
What are you doing?
She doesn't deserve to go with them. Not in the same way.
Elizabeth.
The fuse is nearly out. Violet tugs on Elizabeth's arm, but she shakes her off and takes her shot. Direct hit. right between Cornelia's eyes. Still dripping tears, Wolfgang stares straight ahead, his own fate accepted.
Come on, run!
They run. The flame connects with the explosives. She pushes her sister farther away from the building as it explodes. They topple onto the ground, the heat of the explosion biting their skin. As they blink and stumble to their feet, all they can hear is that familiar, eerie, ringing noise. Think you have what it takes to decipher the coded letter? Visit our website's evidence section for clues to help you follow along with the mystery. Wicked Dames is an independent, self-funded production. If you enjoyed the show and would like to support our cast and crew, we invite you to donate the amount of your choice on our website at alisonhaselden.com/wicked-dames. This show contains explicit content and may not be suitable for all listeners. A list of all content warnings is included in the show notes of each episode for your reference.